React Native developers, welcome to Can It Be Done in React Native. This episode is all about adding this je ne sais quoi to your tab bars. Guys, I hope you are well. William here, recording from beautiful Zurich, Switzerland. In this week's episode, we are looking yet again at the Reflectly app, and more specifically, this beautiful tab bar animation. So you see, absolutely delightful. And to try to understand a little bit what is going on, let's have a look at it frame by frame. So first, I was thinking, okay, it's an SVG path animation. It's going to be a lot of fun to do. And what I did is that I recorded the screen and tried to play frame by frame to see what is going on. So here I'm advancing frames. Let me maybe, okay. So here we have the button. The height expands, and after a while, the width expands as well. And here we have these wonderful arcs, and then it expands completely, and then the content appears, this opacity animation, and also a nice staggering to each items. And I built an SVG path, I was animating it, and then I realized that it didn't look exactly the same. And when I replayed the animation here, it took me a lot of time to realize it, is that actually we have a mask here. And this is why the corner radius or the arc look like this. So how would we do this in React Native? We're going to programmatically build this bubble shape in SVG. It's going to be a lot of fun. These are like super fun to do. And then we're going to animate a rectangle as a mask, which has also the same corner radius as the bubble. And this is how we're going to build this effect. And in another video, I might show you one way to do it, which looks a bit different, but is done using no mask and an SVG path animation. But that's for another video probably. So how would we build this shape programmatically? So here we have the button, which has the size constant. It's a square. And we're going to have some radius for the corners, which is the same for every corner. And then we need to calculate a couple of measures. For instance, this segment here is going to be half of the width minus half of the size minus, so here minus radius for this corner and minus radius for this corner. So for instance, yeah, I wrote it here. So this is one formula we're going to need, because to programmatically build the path, we're going to need these measures, and we're going to draw an arc between each segment. Another segment is this one, which is the total height. Oh, by the way, we have the dimensions here, width and height. So we take the total height, we remove size, so minus size, and then we remove one corner, two corner, minus two radius. And once we built this one programmatically, we're going to add a rectangle and use it as a mask. We can even do it here in Figma. So up, and we're going to animate the width and height of the mask, and also its X and Y position, so it can animate nicely. So I think, I'm going to struggle to do it in Figma, but at the beginning, it animates like this. We have a corner, we need to add some corner radius here, which is identical to the one of the shape. I have no idea of the values, but and then after a while, it starts to expand on the width. And so this is going to look very similar to, it's going to look identical to the Reflectly app. But what do you guys think? Can it be done in React Native? Let's have a look. And before we get started, one thing. If you're interested to learn the fundamentals of gestures and animations in React Native, I hope that you will check out my online course at startreactnative.dev. My goal with this course is to provide you with all the tools and knowledge necessary in order to build incredible user interactions that will run at 60 FPS, even on low-end devices. So if you're interested to learn the fundamentals, I hope that you will check it out at startreactnative.dev. We are in VS Code here, and we have our open animation value. Is the bubble of the Tabbar open or not? We use it to animate the backdrop, and also if the backdrop is touchable or not. So if it's open, pointer event is box none. So we can have this one pressable to set it back to 0. And we have the background color, which is visible. If not, if the bubble is closed, the backdrop doesn't catch any touch event. So it's whatever is below catches the event, and its opacity is 0. And now there is the Tabbar, which we're going to build. So in the boilerplate, I already have, and you can download the boilerplate in the video description in case you want to follow along with this example. I have as a boilerplate the linear gradient, which we're going to use, and the content of the bubble. So let's draw our bubble using SVG commands. And I love SVG paths, and I love to animate them here. We're not going to animate it, but these are just so fun to do. So let's do a path. And so we're going to add the D, and the fill is this gradient with ID gradient. So I'm going to do URL dash gradient. Very good. So we can create D here. So it's going to be an array of strings which we join. So each string is an SVG path, and we join it with a space in between. And so here we have the size, which comes from the static sidebar. So the size of one button. Here the radius, I took 25% of the size. You can put any value you want. And here we have width and height, which I took. So these ratios I took from the Reflectly app. So let's draw our path. And so we're going to start with the top left corner. So we're going to move to 0 on X and R on Y. And we need to draw the first corner. So we're going to draw an arc. And so here I'm going to use, instead of using, so I can write an arc using the A command like this. Or, so here the coordinates should be absolute, so based on the 0, 0. Or I can draw based on the last position, relative. So this is what this lowercase a means. It means here all the coordinates are relative to the last position or current position, which here is 0R. And so here we're going to draw our commands relative. It's going to be much easier to think about it than to calculate the absolute coordinate, because it's just how I move here from radius, go down, go up. So it's like a game where you move along instead of doing everything absolute. And also, if we were to animate this path, which we're going to do in the future, it happens that in this particular scenario, the relative commands are much easier to think about. So an arc, radius X, R, radius Y, R. It's a corner of a circle. I mean, it's an arc circle. X rotation 0, and then we have two flags, which I'm not sure what they do. We're going to randomly activate them to check. Let me see, what is SVG path arc command? So these are these two flags, large arc flag and sweep flag. And I'm not sure what they do, but we're going to toggle them until they give us the expected results. And then the destination. So here the destination is relative. So we go up on the y-axis. So we go to radius on the x-axis, and we go up. So minus r on the y-axis, I think. But let's check it out. So here I close the path. Maybe let me just randomly draw some lines. Maybe one horizontal line to, I don't know, 100, and one vertical line to 100, just to see. So we are not seeing anything at all. Is it because of the fill? I think here path is in, I've made a small mistake. Here path is in depths, so I just need to move it into the actual Canva. That looks good. And so we can see here, we probably need to set this flag to 1. Yes, perfect. Cool, let's continue. So here on the horizontal side, we move to with minus 2 corners. So minus 2R, perfect. And now we can, oh, it needs to be minus little lowercase h. Perfect. And now we need to draw another arc. So we're going to factorize this into a helper function because here R is always the same. So we just need the destination. So it's going to be arc X These SVG paths are so fun to do programmatically and even more fun to animate. So yeah, let's factorize this one here. So it will be arc, and I think we said R minus R. And so here R is always the same, and here it would be XY. Looking good, and let's do the next one. It would be arc 2. We go, so on the x-axis to R, we go to the right, and we go to the bottom. So that would be R on the y-axis as well. Perfect. Now let's do V here. And V, we wrote it down from the Figma file. It's so height minus size minus 2 corners. Perfect. Let's draw another arc. So we go to the left side, so minus R, and we go down, so R. Cool. Now let's do also one segment horizontal, which we calculated on the Figma file. And so I'm going to call it, because we are going to need to use it on each side. So let me call it half width. And half width is, so width minus size. So size is the size of the square button divided by 2 minus 2 corners. So we minus 2 times R. Nope. Because here horizontal, that's good. We go to the left side, so we minus. Perfect. Very cool. Let's draw another arc. So we go we go to the left side, minus R. We go down, so R. And you see we need to reverse the angle. So I'm going to do a new parameter, reverse. So here it's going to be true. Default value is false. So here, if reverse is true, this flag is 0. If not, it's 1. Perfect. Looking good. Now let's go down. Again, here we calculated the value on the Figma file. It's size minus 2 corners. So minus 2 R's. Perfect. Now another arc. So that would be, arc. We go to the left side, minus R, and we go down R. Perfect. Now we go to the left side. So that would be horizontal minus size minus 2 corners, 2 R's. Nope. Minus, I would do minus So let me store this value. So here would be S and here would be minus S. Perfect. Let's draw another arc. We still go to the left side, so minus R, and we go up, so minus R. Perfect. Now we go up, so that would be vertical minus S. We need to draw another arc, which is going to be reversed also. So we go to the left, minus R, we go up, minus R, and true. So cool. Now we go to the left on horizontally, so horizontal minus S. No, minus the half width. Perfect. And our last corner, which would be arc. So we go to the left, minus R, and we go up, minus R. Perfect. So we have our shape, and now we need to animate it nicely using a mask. So let's create our mask. So in the definitions, we're going to have a mask. I'm going to call it mask, very original. And our mask is going to be animated. So it's going to be an animated rectangle. And I can apply it already here in the path. So we do mask equals URL ID mask. And so our animated rectangle is going to have some animated props. And it needs also to have some corner radius. We've seen it from the Figma file, which is identical to the shape we've built. So we simply are going to write radius X is R and radius Y is R. And what is every white pixel is going to be the visible part here. So I'm going to do fill equals white. So let's create our animated rectangle. So animated, oops, I think never mind. Animated rect equals, yeah, perfect. Oops. All right, and let's create our masked. So use animated props. So we need to return X, Y, width, and height. And we're going to start with height, because this one is simple. We've seen it from the running. The animation is in frame by frame. So we interpolate on open value. When it's 0, it's size, so just the square of the button. And when it's at 100%, it's height. And then the width is interpolated from the height. So here we use interpolate on height, sorry. And so when the size of when the height grows at the beginning, the width is only size, and when it reaches a threshold, here we're going to take 2 times the size, but you can choose any threshold. It's going to start to expand on the x-axis. So we're going to have size as an input, 2 times size. Actually, I could write 2 times size already, because we're going to use extrapolate, and till height, so till height. And so at the beginning, until it reaches 2 times size, the width is at size, and then only it starts to expand. So we have width. And so here, very important, I need to add extrapolate clamp. And that gives us our width value. From there, we need to calculate the X and Y value. So X would be So we're going to interpolate from Y. So from width. So width goes from size to width. At the end, we know it's 0, and when it's size, that would be width divided by 2 minus size divided by 2. Here we don't need to extrapolate. Yeah. And then Y. So size goes from size to height. And when it's height, it's 0 also. And when it's size, we calculated, I think it's simply height minus size. I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, isn't that cool? What a fun animation. Now let's animate the rotation of the icon and the way the items appear. So we have our icon. Where is it? It's here. So let's wrap it into an animated view. And so I'm going to have style equals icon. So use animated style. And it's going to be a transform with a rotate. Transform, rotate. We do a mix on open.value when it's 0. So you see it should be, when it's 0, it should be straight. So I'm going to do minus math pi divided by 4, 45 degrees. And then it should be at this position when it's open. So that would be 0. Up. So here it's at the correct position. Perfect. Isn't that fun? Such a fun animation. Now let's do the content. So again, this becomes an animated view. And we're going to translate Y and also animate the opacity. So let's add a style called items. Yeah, that's good. Use animated style. Opacity. We want to have a late opacity, so we're going to use interpolate on open.value, and we're only going to start at, let's say, 75. Of course, you can pick any value you want. So we're going to go from 0 to 1, extrapolate clamp, and then we can add the translate. So transform, translate Y, and let's mix on open.value. And we know at the end it's at 0, and if not, it's at height plus a little something, which is here this inset, like for the safe area, insets.bottom. So plus insets.bottom. Let's have a look. So here, perfect. It animates nicely. We could add some staggering to the items, but just a fun animation and quite simple actually to implement. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this example, a delightful user interaction which is seemingly not so difficult to implement. The Reflectly app look and feel is really great, and I think it's something we should all aspire to build when building apps in React Native. Let me know what you think in the comment below. I am looking forward to talk to you soon, and until next time, happy hacking.